already. We will just wait 30 seconds, maybe a minute, to make sure the stream is really live and to give everyone a chance to join. Okay, let's get started. Hello and welcome to yet another Q&A session about our products. My name is Mateusz and it's a tremendous pleasure to be with you here today, and I'd like to thank you for joining. Last time we did a Q&A session, it was about performance testing for Dynamics 365 FSCM. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. You can find it. You can also find other interesting materials, especially around test automation on our YouTube channel. It's Executive Automats. And this is also live on YouTube right now. The product we'll focus on today is the Security Setup Wizard. And this is a tool for Dynamics 365 FSCM that helps you set up and optimize your security setup. This session is being recorded, and like I said, it's being streamed on YouTube. So there will be a recording afterwards, which we'll send to all the registrants. The chat is on, so you can post your questions throughout the session. The agenda for today is very simple. We will give you a brief overview of the solution, and then we will move on to the Q&A section where we will answer your questions. Let me introduce Bartosz Śpiech, who is the product manager for this tool and the main star of today's session. By the way, he's also my go-to person, anything Dynamics related. Bart's got broad experience with D365 products, and he has actually worked on security projects in his previous life as he incorporated similar functionality to our test automation tool, Executive Automats for AX 2012. Back then in AX 2012, we actually had this Microsoft security tool, but our clients still preferred to use the security add-on to Executive Automats to optimize their security setup. In D365, we no longer have an easy-to-use tool for that, so we wanted to create one, and we wanted to create one that will help you set up and optimize your security roles, duties, and privileges to make sure your users have got the exact precise access that they need. And this is indeed what the Security Setup Wizard is for. And Bart will tell you all about it in a moment. Let me just remind you that this is a Q&A session. And whilst Bartosz is presenting the tool, please post any questions that will come to you on the chat. After the presentation, we will address them, and we will also address the questions that you've sent us beforehand. With that being said, Bart, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Matt, for the intro. Always happy to participate with our best team, which we are doing together a lot of webinars. So thank you very much for having us here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm going to start with a quick presentation, a few slides to give you a brief intro regarding how the product looks like, what the benefits are, how to deploy that, and then we're going to jump into the application itself to make a small POC to create a role, apply it, and cross-check it. Going to show you all features that are available in a few clicks. And of course, if you're going to be interested, we can set up a follow-up session to discuss this material in detail. Overall, as Matt was mentioning, we want to address the security role creation. This is the major goal of ours. We want to help you out with easy and optimized role creation process that will help you minimize the license cost, which will help you optimize the user interface. So the learning curve, when you are onboarding new people, they're going to simply understand the dynamics better. They will not ask about why I've got this button and I don't have other one. And of course, there are some other features focus a little bit more regarding the possibility of frauds and so on and so on. Overall, this product is deployed as a deployable package, so you can deploy it anywhere on your Dynamics, on your UATs, on your dev machines, and then you can simply work with it. So the implementation is very simple, and we are actually also we've got a profile on SSW on App Source. What are the ways how the SSW is used till now? We've done a few very successful projects, and I would like to walk you through them. These are three different types that we've seen till now. The first one is detailed security creation. This actually addresses very intense security project, which was taking a few months' time. But the overall goal and idea, what we wanted to achieve, is a precise security setup, which will have just enough, just exactly number of entry points which is needed. So it was super precise. We can say a pharmacy approach where we have to explain why we've got that specific security access. It was possible with Security Setup Wizard. We were converting security the business processes into the security duties. Then duties were combined into the role, and the role was applied to the user. We've done some verifications. Then it is a need to open up a little bit the Visual Studio. So it is a little bit more complicated process, but at the end of the day, you've got the maximum optimization. For one entity, it was a few months and quite a bit of team. We had there 5 consultants which were working on that with business. So one option. Second option, general security creation. This was a project where we were creating security for one of the retail companies, and it took us 1.5 months by 2 people, where we mapped business processes into the duties, then created the roles. But the moment when we applied the roles to the user and we were doing cross-checking, we were not using then Visual Studio. We were using the privileges from the standard of the system to add a little bit more from the standard to sort of to fit the gaps which were found within the business process recording. And this was very effective. At the end of the day, we were able to drag down drastically number of entry points which were allocated by the user. And of course, this is very quick, it is effective, and it is optimizing the license. I'm going to show you an example how to do that. This tool also can be used for existing security where you would like to remodify your current setup, like editing one by one security role. So this is like an easy deployment. You've got your actually security setup, and you would like to take from the priority. So we are trying to identify or quantify number of employees that are working in the company, and we are trying to see where is the maximum level. And those we aim the first. So we take the, let's say, sales representative, and we're trying to build the role for them. And then we go down on the ladder, and then we are trying to go and refresh or recreate the roles for any existing one. So these are purely 3 elements that we do for creation. There are 2 other elements that we also aim. License cost, RCA, so root cause analysis, why we've got the SCM basic plus few attachments license for a user. In other way, why this user costs so much? Why my sales manager or sales representative has the most costful license plus all attachments? Can I actually change that? This is the question we want to answer with the report. And the fraud analysis, this was mainly an activity and the need which came from the pharmacy, military, and aviation industry. We are collaborating there on automatic testing with GXP appliance and all the methodology regarding the highly regulated industries. We've been asked to do a cross-checking. If a user was doing something, let's say, shady, if the user was doing some illegal extraction from the system, we want to check who else is in a position to do that. So we are cross-checking roles and duties and privileges in order to find out if anybody else is a potential danger for the organization. A simple example, we've seen a situation where the sales representative had one row from the standard, which was giving access to 1,000 entry points. So every entry point is a button in the system. Every entry point is a form in the system. So you got multiple visible elements, super highly destructured. Whereas when you do this with SSW, we were able to create a tailored row, and it was around 20 security objects. Optimized license, mitigated risk, and clean interface. So you are optimizing the way how users are working. In a quick intro and then the context, let's dive into the SSW, into the application. So I'm going to switch into the app, into our environment. Okay. So as I was mentioning, this is an embedded tool in finance and operations. You are deploying this by 2 packages. And then you see here security process roles maintained. This is the main module. We've got security analysis and licenses. These are analytics and category, just for our aggregation categorization level. Okay. So on the main screen, I'm going to switch to the webinar. This is our prepared area. On the main screen, on the left-hand side, you see the areas. And the overall idea is the following. We are going into the organization, and we are trying to find the areas. Firstly, we've defined here logistics, then projects and services, purchase department, sales, and warehouse. Underneath the areas, we are trying to define positions. So credit and collection clerk, sales manager, sales representative. We are trying to do as much as we can to simply have one role for one position in the organization, or have one role plus one supplement role. So minimum number of roles which are applied, because then the modification and maintenance is simply easier. So in sales department, we've got 3 different positions. Of course, they are kept by multiple individuals. And let's take, for example, the sales representative. That sales representative person has 3 processes applied: reporting and collections, sales create, and create collections. So that person was created here. Somebody uploaded 3 task recordings into this list, and we converted those 3 processes into duties. If I click on this, I see that for that report, I need just one output item, castrans open per date. This might be quite technical, but I will try to make it as much polite and easy to understand for you, because I know that we are touching here a very technical topic of security configuration. Then we've got the sales create, and this sales create needs a little bit more. Needs 3 display items, so we need to be a little bit more. We have to add a little bit more. Aside of the elements, we also see here the access level: read, update, create, correct, delete, invoke. And we are able to modify the access. So if I'm going to record a business process and I'm going to say, all right, I need a little bit more actually. So then I can make a quick modification, I can update the permissions, and I can give create as well, and correct and delete for that specific item that we've identified. Then I can save the privilege, and then system will push it to the publishing process of finance and operations security. Then after publishing, I can allocate that into the user. So if you're wondering after this extraction how the user works like, how the system looks like, it is as follows. I've applied this role to the test account, and I can see only specific sales creation, customer creation, open transaction report. Of course, some elements are visible in more than one places. That's why we see a little bit more modules like sales and marketing, and we see customers and sales creation along the same way as in AR. But this is something how system work. Of course, there are some ways how you can detach that, but it needs a modification. So it might be not the way how you should operate. Anyway, this is the way how system looks, and we're going to make quite the same exercise. I will try to extend our test account security with pre-recorded task recordings. So the source for all of these processes, these are task recordings or executive automate scripts. So for those who use executive automats, they can simply leverage the existing database of test cases and extract from them security convert to duties, duties to roles, roles apply to the user, and you've got a very nice byproduct. If you've got some task recording for RSAT, if you've got some task recording for another purpose, you can reuse them as well. Small disclaimer, this recording doesn't need to be repeatable. You can just record some path. You can record individual objects in the system and just extract from them security. So let's do this in example. I can go here to task recorder. I can create a recording. We can call this webinar session. I can start. All right, system is recording the elements, and let's go to, let's say, HR, workers, employees. I'll need to change the entity as we are in DET now. Let's take the French entity. And then let's click new. Find the names. Employee start day. Hire. Then let's go to benefits. So I'm identifying objects. What is important? Every frame that I'm going through, they're actually security objects. So if you're going to right-click form information, you're going to see that these elements are actually some HCM worker environment and enrollment. Sorry. So these elements, they've got some context. So if you are thinking what we are exactly doing here, system is trying to record the process. System is recording my steps, so I'm identifying the process. And if I'm ready, I can actually close this with no. And then let's say click also on the bank accounts. And then I can click stop. So the process is mapped. I get my full process, everything what I want to record. I can save this to the PC. Then I can jump back to the module. Security process roles maintain. Switch back to webinar Q&A. Sales manager. And load here the task recording. Include table permissions. And include controls permissions. We are extracting a bit more context comparing to what is possible from the XML. We are trying to understand, aside of what XML exists, sort of gives, we want to see or add you some information if they might be needed for security creation. This might be quite technical, but just want to let you know that we are not extracting all the elements from XML. We are trying to build context of the XML file as well. And this session, webinar, the process we recorded, consists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different entry points. And if I'm going to allocate to my user, I should be able to apply all of those, perform all of those actions. Of course, I can verify if the read access or update access is needed. I can modify that. If I'm ready, I can create the duty and create the role. Before I'm going to do that, I can load a little bit more processes. I prepared for you quite a database for the session. So just want to show you. One moment. Webinar SSW, yes. And we're going to load here some more processes. I think I have it here as well. So we can take confirm sales order. We can take another process. Can take create payment journal. And I'm building the list of responsibilities of the sales manager. Take a look. System is actually telling us for sales order creation, I need Sales form letter confirmation with quite a bit of access. Payment journal, again, different types, different items, display with action. If right now I would like to convert that into the duty, I can call this AR duty 1. AR duty 2. Of course, naming convention is up to you. You can do however you want that. AR duty 3. Duties are created. Then sales manager role. Let's create that as well. And create it. System will refresh. And then we can move straight to the security configuration. So I'm going to show you quickly the role here. Oh, duty, duties, privileges, display items, along with references to controls, if they exist, of course. Not in every elements the reference will exist. Maybe on workers, we'll be able to show you some. Actually, this one not, but let me go to duty 2. I think this one was actually this is sales table list page, and in here on the references on the controls, we've got some intercompany original purge table sales. This is something which system identifies that exists, so we don't need to go for the Visual Studio to find out that there is something more. And of course, right now we are walking through security configuration, and we know that this interface is not ideal. We actually are working with Microsoft to optimize that, to fix those, because they are quite a bit of frustration for different customers. So when we've got the role created, now I can go to my user, test account 4, and apply my role of sales manager. Role is applied. And then I can switch back here to my account, F5. And we've got human resources, employees. And options, of course, they come from the standard. On the workers, we've got bank accounts and benefits, just those which we clicked and nothing else. We've also added the AR payment journal, as you've probably seen before, and sales orders, manage, manage intercompany sales order. These are the controls which were added by the form controls elements. Let's move it aside. And let's come back here. Webinar. So this is the flow. You are identifying the position. I'm asking the sales manager, all right, Chris, could you tell us what exactly you were performing in the organization? Sure, I'm doing some unknown duty. I know process, then sales creation, confirmation, create journals for payment, collections. So the list is growing. Conversion, then creation of the role, and then we go to the sales representative. The same story. We ask what they do. They can actually provide us the recording of the task recording. And then I'm converting, applying the role, and the role extracts everything which is the lowest possible, sort of the least privileged role. We are giving the less, so system will be optimized. Yeah? And then when you go through entire organization and you're gonna spot a gap, let's say sales representative doesn't see a specific button. What you can do? You can go to account receivable sales orders, and then you've got two options. If you're gonna build that manually without product like this, you have to, of course, identify element by element, and then you're gonna need, all right, I need the confirmation button. Right click, form information, form name, and then if you don't have the application, you're gonna see sales table list page display, and I'm just confused why I see display sales table list page, and I click on the confirmation. And simply because system doesn't give you the context. Here, with the extension, you see exactly that on this form, to add this action, you need to have action type, sales form method confirm. So we are saving you a lot of time browsing the Visual Studio, browsing the system to understand what exactly I need to make a confirmation. If you would like to see a broader context, if I want to understand all entry points embedded on this form because I'm searching for service agreement, prepayment, sales order confirmation journal, supplementary items, I can click View Permissions. And here I can think, all right, I need what we were discussing, confirmation. I can actually sort that A to Z. We wanted to give confirmation. We wanted to give sales order sales order confirmation, confirmations, and we were also talking about prepayments and postings. And if I'm going to match those, I can simply add my entry points to the process we just created together. It was a webinar session. So I can apply them, click OK. The selected entry points were added. So I can now come back to the security module. We can go to webinar Q&A, sales department, sales manager, ARD, and we're going to see three. This was ARD2. We see here more entry points. So now the thing is we just need to save the entry point and go to security configuration and republish. The only thing we do, for the first time, we are automatically publishing. For the second time, you have to publish because we want to prevent situation where you are doing this in the wrong way. So there are some prevention mechanisms, and we are helping out along this. There is a lot of features regarding moving the security layer from environment to environment, backupping of this. So quite a bit of different user stories are covered. Let's focus for a moment on security licenses. We want to publish that. So from the moment where Microsoft introduced the user licenses with the little bit more complicated way of operations, basic SCM, basic finance, and so on, basic project, the licensing became a bit of challenge to estimate. And there are some basic reports in the system, but they are not so easy readable. They don't count. They don't give you precise information. We want to give you an understanding what exactly a specific role gives you, what kind of license level you need, what is the total scope of licenses you have to purchase for your system. So we have got this vision of what exactly this environment is built from the perspective of the licenses. You can see our specific, let's take a little bit complicated example. We can see Sarah. Actually, this is a nice one. Sarah is a basic finance, so she has the most of the objects in the finance module. So we have to purchase a basic finance license, plus we have to purchase two attachments for her, SCM and commerce. The question is actually she needs the SCM and commerce, or should it be only business finance? And you go through the list. You can, of course, sort and then filter for those which you search for to find out why exactly somebody needs such a high level license. All score the same. Why basic finance? Why I have to pay for him 200 euros? Of course, this price can be modified, so we can apply here your own discounts and so on. If you would like to do this verification, and then you know what kind of role this Oscar Sarah has, you can simply find them here like this. And then I see Audit Policy Manager has 4 rows, and it consists also 106 activity and 1300 team member. So high chance that we can drag down those 4 of operationals to lower or erase them actually. So this row will become activity level, and then we can create a savings. Of course, it might be confusing. Operations doesn't exist anymore. It is a basic license, but we've got a little bit old label here. Either way, you can do the same on the duty level and the privilege level. So you can dig deeper, understand the context, understand why it is like that, and make some prevention actions. So I can find out, all right, there are 4 operations. We've got 10 people in sales. They are operations or basic finance, just because they've got those 4 entry points. Let's see if we can optimize that. Highly possible. You can actually sort for those from smallest to largest to find out smaller from and bigger than 0. Greater. And you can actually filter out the roles which are possible for optimization that way. A lot of them, they can be dragged down into the lower license. Yeah, this from the perspective of the licensing. And there is one more thing I would like to show you. Security analysis. These are all tables with security permissions around the system, which are present, so we can find some custom module security and so on and so on. But the major value is something I was discussing previously, which is the possible for security fraud. Let's say we are operating in again, retail industry, and one of the fixed asset representative just done some extraction of the data. So I can find out who it was. Like, let's say April, and April has at this set of row. We just need a few seconds. System will load all rows from April's account. And we see that she is an employee, she is an accounts payable clerk, a system user, an accounts payable clerk, and accounts payable manager. All right, accounts payable manager. Who is else accounts payable manager? April, Phyllis, and Sarah. Potentially 2 people which are capable of doing something like that. So I can either delocate this row or start another investigation. And I can do the same on the duty or privilege level if I actually know that this duty can cause this damage. So cross-checking can be very beneficial. You can use it, of course, in that negative understanding, or of course, in some positive understanding. I need the same set of privileges as Sarah. And I can overview that, and I can check who else is the same, and actually I can match them between positions, so I know that I'm making the good choice. As a system admin, sometimes you are hesitating: should I add that, and what is the policy around that, and who else is the same? Of course, you can apply existing security roles on the user, but it is good to cross-check. This is a side bonus of this functionality. Yeah. Let's come back here again for a quick summary. So in a sneak peek, the biggest values you can get is to make your security roles in a perfect shape, in a perfect order, with less effort. They are precise. You can pick 2 directions, make it quick and not hyper optimal, but let's say an optimal way. It will be not super precise. It will be just high level definition of the processes, extraction, and then using standard privileges, which is probably the best ROI. But if you need more, if you need deeper level, lower level, like a super detailed security, you can do that by identifying and reworking the system with developers, even to drag down in a drastic way the licenses and push up the security level of the system. A lot of features, of course, are here which can help you out to do something automatic, to find the context of security, but I think they are too heavy or too technical for this session. And with that being said, I would love to jump into the Q&A, because I've seen quite a bit of questions that you've passed over to us, and I think having in mind that we've got some time and Q&A, we're going to end up here, And please have in mind we can always reconnect to address some certain specific issues that you are facing regarding security on finance and operations or AX 2012 as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bart, for the presentation. I think that the biggest value of this tool is that it allows you to create a custom security setup for each role in the organization, right? You can have a custom security role for each position in the organization, and you do that by recording the processes that the specific person is doing and uploading them to this tool, and from that you extract them to create custom roles. Is that correct, Bart?
Exactly, yes. Exactly, yes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's move on to the Q&A section. Jake, do you wanna read the first one?
Yeah. Excuse me. Let me catch my voice here. Yeah. So this one actually pretty straightforward question, Bart. I would give you a chance to elaborate a little bit. And I think you've touched on it already, but how is this tool different from the standard of the system? Yeah.
Sure. So we can say in AX 2012, there was a Microsoft security development tool, which I also personally use for multiple projects and being a security consultant. And this was a game changer for us. It gave us a lot of understanding. There was AOT, which now is complicated because you don't have the access, the Visual Studio, of course, but it is not so well communicated as it was in AOT, and you are not so fluent and efficient.
Yeah.
And that's the major challenge comparing here. Plus, there is no extension like a Microsoft security development tool. There are some tries. I've seen some blogs where people are converting that, but it doesn't work so well. So there are some tools which are helping on the SOX compliance, definitely. And this is not ideally our area. We are mostly focusing on the security creation path, because on the standard, as you've seen before and I was walking through, if you would like to do that and try to identify as simple as that, let's say credit cards, and you would like to take from standard information what exactly is behind, you are blocked because system identifies that in the wrong way. Plus, then you have to go manually jump through the forms and apply that. So copy the names. So there needs to be multiple enhancements to make it quick and understandable. The entire interface, the cockpit where you maintain the roles, is just shortening time of deployment and shortening the time of working with security. So actually, you can't say you can't create the roles with the standard, because you can, but this is a painful process. And since there are some gaps in the standard, this is the major difference: the usability and the effectiveness.
Right.
Thanks,
Thank you
Bart.
for that. Let me read one from the chat now. And yeah, please keep the questions on the chat coming. We've got a list from the emails before, but we will also address the ones from the chat. So this one is from Martin, and the question is, can this be used to define segregation of duties?
We don't have a feature regarding the SOD, which will help you build automatically the SOX compliance matrix, or sort of give you the logic. We say that it is a perfect way to start your SOD, because if you would like to build a segregation of duty in the organization, you have to perfectly know what exactly is in the duty. Because if you're going to use the standard duties, which are, we can say, a bag fulfilled with something, when we don't know exactly what it is, you're going to have multiple sort of error messages. I've missed the word. Problems with just give me a second. You're going to have multi-problem with segregation of duties. Yeah, you can't. You're gonna have multiple problems with compliance around the SOD. So you're gonna apply to the user a duty, and then it already there's a rule that you can't have those two duties in the same moment, or not the duties, but you have this on the privilege level, and you have a problem because there will be no chance to understand why the conflict is there. So to solving those conflicts and sort of overriding the conflicts when you don't know what is the duty is a sort of systematic problem. So this is the element which we are simply addressing, but we are not addressing the build of the SOD matrix and SOX compliance verification.
Cool. Yeah. And I've got another question here, but before that, Matt, maybe you wanted to talk a little bit about the trial. Just give it a quick little people a little bit of information about that.
Sure, of course. So if you'd like to sign up for the trial of this tool, you can click on the link.
Yep.
I hope you can click on the link. Maybe you can have Agnieszka post it on the chat on YouTube, because I think most of the people are watching it via YouTube or LinkedIn. So we'll make sure, of course, to add this link to the emails that we'll send you afterwards. But you can, with this link, you can sign up for a free 2-week trial of the solution, where we will provide you a self-expiring package that you'll be able to deploy on your environment and test out the tool, play with it as much as you want during these 2 weeks, and we'll be happy to also do a quick session with you to give you some more depth than what you've seen here today, and show you how you can utilize this tool to achieve your goals. So click on this link if you can click it. I'm not sure if you can click it, but yeah, we'll make sure to give this link to you afterwards anyway. So let's move on with the Q&A.
Awesome. So I've got another question here then, and it's is there a good possibility of having record level security as well? So that lower level, or that level specifically of record level, record level. Yeah. Do you see that happen often?
Yeah. So after you define the security, and then you're gonna go to the RLS. As far I know, the RLS actually doesn't exist in finance and operations, but I would need to check that, because I'm just having some doubt that there is just the XDS is deployed, and the RLS, the older one in FNO was deprecated. I think that's the truth. But if you would like to limit number of records visible, indeed, that's we can actually say that this layer is a second step. This layer is a second step, because every form that you've got visible on the screen, this is a typical situation. We are giving access to the form, or maybe this is not ideal. Let's go to the all sales and pick a specific
Are you
sales
trying
order.
to show your screen? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And let's say there is something called totals and margin, typical thing. If you would like to limit access to specific fields, you are doing a second level granularity. Like you are building the overall security access to everything that you want, like the big granular element, the bigger element. You are giving access to totals, but then from the code perspective, you are asking the developers to apply a code permission level to certain element, like margin. You would like to show margin only to certain person, like managers. So you can do that by applying the code permissions, and then the code permissions are going straight to the manager row, and then you are one by one sort of locking the vital for organization fields, and you are distributing them only to specific people. From the perspective of limiting data in the field, so you are able to see only specific sites, warehouses, and so on. Indeed, there's another mechanism. I need to recall that. Yeah, I don't remember now how this is called in FNO, but yeah, there is a possibility around that. And maybe going forward further, we don't have like out of the box mechanisms that are helping you with the RLS in 2012 or XDS in FNO. So
Yeah, Alex wrote on chat that RLS does not exist in FNO. It's replaced by XDS.
exactly. Point. We can play millionaires.
Let me read another question from the emails. Let me put it on the screen, and let's remove this. Does it support this is a quick one, I think. Does it support the newest licensing model from Microsoft?
Yeah, we support the attachments, so you are able to identify the newest licenses, attachments, and calculate the prices, and you have finally a vision of how much you have to pay from the implementation perspective, because this was mainly the reason why we were doing that. Mm-hmm.
Great. Another one here in the chat. I'm not sure if I understand this one fully, so hopefully you can read it as well. But how can the USR conflicts as it releases to SOD and the definition of the business process might be mitigated? Yeah.
Okay, nice question. This is going to be the level of hardness is getting tougher and tougher. That's good. User conflicts SOD definition of the business process can be mitigated. Sure. So again, the segregation of duties, if so to mitigate the risk of applying processes when you are building the SOD, because this is the moment when you are building the SOD, you have to do a list of processes and identify perfectly who is responsible for what, and maybe going even backwards then or one step before, you have to define the list of the processes, so full audit of the processes. Of course, we are talking about highly regulated ones, SOX compliance, so present on the market, on the stock markets, and so on. So when you've got the granularity of the business processes, and you don't have this confusion that one process can have some variations. So again, a little bit of naming convention has to be deployed here, like module plus process number plus variation of the process plus the name. I could show you this on the example of presentation of our executive automats, where we deployed the naming convention, and this actually works quite good. So we are typically doing something like that. Accounts payable O2 as a number of process and variation plus process name. So you can have purchase order of creation for 01. This is a general one. You can have internationals, affiliated entity, intercompany, and so on. Actually quite the same, but you've got the perfect definition of what we are talking about. You've got the perfect identification of what the process is about, and when you've got that, and when you were recording or extracting processes from a person, you were able to prevent, to mitigate the risk that you've got some conflicts on the SOD. This is all about the beginning of the approach. So we don't have the mechanism, which again helps that, but maybe this is also good to tell you that this is fully in-house product, and this is done by our developers. Mostly me and some colleagues which are security consultants, and we are trying to convert our knowledge and needs from security to help you build that. We haven't been able to work with a lot of SOD or SOX compliance customers. If we're gonna have one, this is not a problem for us to develop for you a specific extension which will help you. We just need to define the logic, because logic is there. Everything which can be set in some logical boundaries can be coded and deployed for you. So this is just a matter of meeting and together estimating the needs.
Thanks for that, Bart. Let me read another one from the emails, and I think I can also answer it. Can I use it along with executive automats? And I think, Bart, you showed that the task recordings or the recordings of the processes can be either taken from task recordings or from EA scripts. So maybe let's move on to another one. Can you use existing security roles from the system and extend them with SSW?
Good question. Indeed, yes, you can take existing. You can have existing one, but which you created manually, or even take something which suits you from the standard and extend that with duties and privileges. So this can help you with security generation creation. Indeed.
Cool. Jake, you want to read this one?
Let me hop off of mute there. Yeah, so can we reuse Dynamics AX 2012 security layer in D365 FNO?
That's a common problem, actually, because you are doing the upgrade from 2012 and FNO, and the entry points are called different in different way, and there are significant differences which are making this problem problematic a little bit. So you have to quite rebuild your security layer. So when you are considering move from 2012 to FNO, this is some project to be done, and that's not a that's a quite of a deal, unfortunately. We haven't seen some translations or we can say mapping functionalities or converters, parsers, and I don't expect that's going to be there. So the good moment is when you've got your process documented in 2012 and you've got your organization logic, process definition, and process mapping. This is most of the thing you have to go. If you don't want to involve business to that process or the transition from 2012 FNO regarding security, but you've got your process ideas and process responsibilities around the positions, high chance that you will not need the business for development of the roles. You will just need the business for verification of the roles. So there are some shortcuts which can be done, but indeed that's a problematic process in 2012 conversion.
Great. We have another question from the chat, and also, guys, please keep them coming. We have still 9 minutes, so we can cover a little bit more. The question is, license is controlling the employee roles. How can we mitigate?
License is controlling the employee roles. I don't know if I understand the question. If the license is controlling employee roles, like due to your security, you've got a certain security level on the user role. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm going too far on the question. So if you could rephrase the question. If the your current access is good enough, is optimal, let's say, but it is giving you basic SCM and two attachments, and you can't get anything about that. This is the way how the licensing model was created. So, of course, you could you can use that window of opportunity and rewrite some forms and extract data to external forms to erase that basic finance license from the standard. So we can try to play with Microsoft regarding I can use that and optimize the license, but I don't expect that the savings you're going to generate they are worth it, especially that I think the Microsoft has some clauses in the agreement which can bump this approach. Yeah, that's if the license if you've got certain number of entry points from the process and this is optimal, there are not so many things you could do. You can think about redesigning the activities in the business or relocating some processes if it is worth it, of course, because it is a madness to modify your business to be aligned with licenses. Depends on number of employees and the scale, definitely.
Yeah, I think here that the problem is when clients have not very optimized security, and then they have too many licenses and they are overpaying for this. And a solution to that is optimizing these. But once you have these optimized, then there's that's the level of licenses that you need, and you can't do anything about that. Let's read out another one. Jake, can you take this one?
Yeah, I'll take one from emails here. And so, Bart, you've talked on this actually a bit, so maybe just a quick answer and we can skip it. Supporting SOX compliance,
Yeah, we can support the build of the duties, but we don't support yet the SOX compliance reporting. So this is something we've got on the roadmap, and hopefully we'll be able to address that in some future. But again, that's for regulatory. Indeed, we want to do that, but right now it is not in the scope.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Another one. What is the typical security project length?
Indeed, that's something which we can say is quite random, depending on the size of organization, number of entities, complexity of the processes, or usage of Dynamics. So that's there's no like easy answer for that. But we've seen that it is possible to create security roles in a 1.5 month time with limited resources. On the other hand, we've seen 6 months project, but it never took a year plus, as we've seen in the past on some highly regulated industries. Without these tools, doing this manually took over a year, and sometimes more. Sometimes actually projects started on the beginning of Dynamics, and they are still ongoing, because the items are identified one by one and checked one by one for sort of giving to the users only verified security, which is madness. Which some say that this is not even a profitable project then, but the industry demands that, in pharmacy especially.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so next one then from the emails. How can I start building the security layer if I don't have a skilled security officer or security developer? Like, can it be handled by less experienced consultants? Have you seen a situation like that, Bart?
We can say, yeah. I mean, the thing we showed you today, they are actually quite actually quite simple. I think if you're going to walk through a quick session with us and you're going to see this type of video, we've got also some training materials, manuals, user guides, which can show you an example, these elements. So I think within a week time, you can be very flexible and fluent if you have a minimum technical information regarding the system. Even if you don't have, you will just need one person which will watch the final results.
And I think you're talking with regards to being able to use this tool to do it. I think that it's fair to say that from the aspect of like strategy and such, then you'll need somebody who is versed in that type of thing. Yeah.
From the strategy perspective, big organizations, they need to have that. Even if you don't have the tool, it might be complicated, because if you don't have any security developer, functional consultant, you can struggle with the standard of the system. If you don't have anybody, you can't handle that with less experienced consultants. It will take you an onboarding of probably a month or plus to make the employees be capable of doing the security if they don't have the experience.
Thank you. So we've only got 2 more minutes, so let's focus on the last 2 questions from the chat. The first one is, what is the best practice when Microsoft add additional security to standard roles when you're using custom roles? I think this is a good one.
Mm-hmm. Sure. The good practice would be, this actually relates to new functionalities, new features which are activated. We very often make a practice of turning on. I mean, every new update you are performing on your dev or UAT, you are simply upgrading to the new one version. Sort of, you have to be compliant with the one version policy. When you are upgrading that new version, there are new features which are in the on by default status. So there are new functionalities which are turning on. And if you do test, you'll probably find out that you've got new functionality. If you would like to turn it on, you are doing the same process as we walked through. So you are just clicking on that function, you are verifying what exactly it is, and you were extending the existing roles with that new function. Or you can find out what privilege Microsoft delivered around that and apply that to the role if you are using this less detailed approach. So I would say that there are a few ways how to do this. But it always starts with analysis on the checking if what is new in the system, and if we want to actually use elements which are on by default. There are of course few states. There is a preview only, on by default, and mandatory from the features perspective. And the mandatory, these features are already deployed, as for example the new grid controls which were introduced in update 38 or 40 as a preview. 45 they were on by default, and from 50 they are mandatory. I'm referring to IDs of the updates. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's just quickly go through this last one and then let's wrap up. So is it possible to make only a few field values visible in a role? For example, that we assign rights to a role with the possibility to only see customers with the values 001 and 003.
Yes, you'll need to do a few fields. Okay, few fields can be done by code permissions. So you need to apply code permissions for a field. So you're going to see those fields only. And then if you would like to make a limitation on this specific elements, you will need to use the XDSs to limit values visible in the fields in the short response.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bart. That was a great wrap up. Really
Thank you
good
so much.
presentation as always. I put the free trial link on the screen once again, so you guys can sign up. I will follow up with everyone. And thank you very much for being here with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good
Cheers,
one.
everyone.
Stay safe. Cheers.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.